Andy. Okay. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is dedicated for Stars of Radio TV, Atlanta, Georgia, USA, with information to keep you safe and productive in every society belongs. And not a beautiful day. I always say, be informed, make a profit, get in action, and support this one for Stars of Radio is giving it back to our community everywhere across the globe. We try the best that we can to pass the information to you. When we get the first hand or second hand, we just pass it on to you in order to make some better decisions. And decisions is always something that bring accomplishment. If you make a better decision, you can build a solid foundation, and a solid foundation keeps it going. That's how we build a skyscraper. And today I'm so excited to have somebody special. Those of us who knows him, and those who are coming, who haven't heard his name, who doesn't know what he does, you will be marveled of what you are going to hear or see. So let me go ahead and welcome one and only Musah Dankwah. Musah Dankwah, I always call him my big brother. Welcome, Mr. Dankwah. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, and I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
And Happy New Year.
Same to you guys. Same to you guys in the U.S. from us in Ghana here with the motherland.
Yeah, the motherland for real is motherland. Now we are speaking to Musah Dankwah from the Global Analytics, but I'm not going to say when we call the name Musah Dankwah. I know, maybe 2 or 3 people know, maybe 1 million people know, and there are some more. We about 36 million population. So when we say Musah Dankwah, who are we referring to?
Well, Musah Dankwah is that little guy who grew up in Ghana, in Accra, and then schooled here, and then left the shores of this country to Denmark to pursue my BSc in international business, and then traveled to UK, pursue a master's and also a CCA, and spent time in the UK working as a finance manager in charge of investment and risk at the Transport for London, UK. Been with them for 7 years, resigned and returned to Ghana in 2010. Just helped build the nation. Since my return, I've been a consultant, large for private companies, and also working for the World Bank on several projects in Ghana here, as well as Nigeria and South Sudan. So actually, I'm a finance person. The polling became something that drew myself into it. And I've since combined that with my personal job that I do as a consultant. I'm a native of Achimba, Buakwa State. My mother is from a Buakwa area in a place called Apinaman in the Akotia constituency or Denchembo district. And my father is from Apredi near Krupong in the Eastern region. So I'm true and true Eastern region person. But I grew up in Accra, Medina, and I've always remained the Medina boy.
When you talk about the Medina boy, I mean, everybody, when you say Medina, everybody knows who you are. Nobody can take it down, regardless. Nobody can take it down. Thank you so much for this info. Now, a lot of people can know your background. They can follow you all the way to Eastern region, either Achim or whatever it is. They check you out there. Now, let's go straight to the point right now. As long as you've opened the way, let's move on. What inspired you to go into research, and particularly
actually the Americans,
yeah,
Americans inspired me. Uh, I've been following the US polls since a child. In fact, I used to sleep with my radio on, and I was glued to every stations around the world and listen to news. And then I also developed interest in politics and geopolitics for many years. But then in 2000, in the US elections, which led to the election of George Bush Jr., where he came face to face with Al Gore. And Florida, if you remember, Florida became the decider in the US, and the case went to the Supreme Court. And I begin to hear people talk about polling, polling, polling. So I said, well, this is guy, it's polling, polling, polling. So I begin to research about polling to understand what polling is. And my interest started developing. But it didn't reach that crescendo until 2004 when George Kerry ran against Bush again, Bush last time. And I saw how people were using data in the US elections, how the CNN, the CNBC, CBS, the guys come and explain the data to the way that we've never seen that before. And I remember when we were growing up in Ghana, we had a program called Crossfire on Joy FM. And you had Kakra Samoa and Ben Epstein displaying some kind of stuff. And we were quite, enthused about it. But then growing up and hearing what the Americans were doing, how they're doing it, I thought, what have we been doing in this country? So my interest grew and grew and grew. And in 2007, the Obama Clinton campaign, I think that's when it all came together. And I said, no, we must do something like this in this country. We must do something like that to enable our politics to go beyond the propaganda, the noise, no data-driven conversation. And then I said, okay, when I return to Ghana, I'll try and develop this interest and see how far it could go. So in 2019, I decided to let this dream come true. We set up a company called Global Info Analytics, and it was set up not to just do opinion polls, but to do other research, market research, commercial research, not academic research, because academic research doesn't bring anything. So do a commercial research, market research, and then on top of that, give something back to the society by doing public opinion poll, measuring public sentiments, feeling on issues of national importance, and let the public know what the nation is feeling at any point in time. So in 2019, March, we started slowly, and within a year and a half, we were faced with 2020 elections, which we boldly stuck our neck out to predict who was going to win. And we got that right. And in 2021, we took a break to take a breather and see what we're going to be doing going forward. And in 2022, we started the tracking poll again. This time, we're tracking the polls every 3 months: January, April, July, October, and December. And we've done that since. And what we did was not to reinvent the wheel, but to really look at the kind of polling questions that are being asked in America that enable them to get the predictions correct. The polling questions that are being asked in the UK, they are more or less the same, and the same questions that are being asked everywhere. So I said, okay, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let me just take those key questions that are being asked by pollsters all the time. And those were the direction of the country, performance of the president, job approval, performance of the government in power, people's living condition, people's optimism for the future, corruption, the fight against corruption. So you see that these are the key questions that we've been asking for all this while. So on those issues, we have a tracking record from 2022 till to date. Just like in America, they could tell you how popular the president was in 1950. We didn't have that. So we have started up from 2022. So we'll build that on for however years that we remain existent. So we are providing something that over time people can say that based on the data, in the second term of Nanado, compared to Muhammad's second term, second year, we can compare their performances from that point going. And then I believe going forward in the future, we'll have the luxury and look at Muhammad's whole 4 years. And whoever comes after him is also 4 years. And so that we can compare the performances of two presidents at different points in time. So those are the key things we measure regularly. But in between, if there are issues that are of national importance that we feel we need to measure, we do so. And then usually when we have primaries, like we had that of the MPP, we also let the public know who the public prefer. And then we get to also to a point where we interview delegates, let them know what delegates are saying. We have done that for the NDC in the years before for the MPP, and now we're also doing the MPP again. And then after the MPP, we'll also start doing the NDC one. So we are just here to serve the public and to provide an independent and objective polling, regardless of whether it is MPP or NDC government in power. We'll stick to the truth and remain absolute or resolute to report the feeling of the country.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we used to having this interview with Musah Dankwah, the CEO of Global Info Analytics. We are talking about how you get started, how things are going. Musa, let me ask you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions Ghanaians have about these public opinion polls? What are some of them that you know, because that is your field? Well,
I think the misconception is that one, it is used to propagate the voice of the person who is paying you, the paymaster. And maybe in the past they have done so. They have paid some people to portray certain sentiments. So they feel that we are in, and because they're not the one paying us, then somebody else must be paying us to do what we are doing. That's the most unfortunate thing that I think we have to deal with. It's quite difficult, and you cannot change the narrative, but you just have to prove yourself that look, you are not one of those. You are an independent, and people must accept that because they don't believe that somebody, an organization, can just come and set up and be doing this for free. But our model is that we do the public opinion poll just that so that we'll have our name will be recognized throughout the country and internationally so that we can get other jobs to do beside the free public opinion. So the free opinion poll is just our contribution to the society, and again, a means to make us stay in the news where people will hear of us every time.
okay, now let's see. How do we ensure the credibility and then the neutrality in your polling, especially in the polarized political environment as ours? How do you ensure that?
The human resource is very important.
Right.
The training of the field officers is fundamental to everything. You let people believe in your philosophy, in your values, ethos, and ethics. That this job is about the truth and nothing but the truth. And that even if you have political party affiliation, you belong to a party, not a member, or we don't recruit people who are card-bearing members of any political party. But you may have a soft feeling for your party. But this job is not about your feeling. It's about the facts, the data. So we train them to be able to take their hearts out of the data and use their head. And that we're doing this not just to enhance the image of this country and Mother Ghana, but also to build the company's reputation as a truly independent company. That aside, we publish our report openly to every party in this country. We don't hide and give this party this data or that data. We put everything out there. Whether you are MPP, you are NDC, you get the same information. And we tend to put a lot of information out so they can, as organizations, take this data and inform themselves. So we've tried to do that. And also, if you watch in the past, we have become the go-to organization in the whole Ghana when it comes to the international research firms. Fitch Solutions, they come to us for data about who is going to win either the primaries or the presidential elections. They have interest. It is us they come to. Why? Fitch Solution trusts our methodology and they believe that we've been very independent. Not just them. We have Barclays Capital trusting our data. Not just them. We have Goldman Sachs from the US. They speak to us. They pick data from us. If you're not objective, we are not very rigor in what we do. You know these guys will not come to us.
Wow, that's awesome. Especially when you're talking about Goldman Sachs, we know how big Goldman Sachs is, and so for them to come to that means that the credibility is all way to the top. Now, many politicians attack posters when the numbers don't favor them. How do you respond to those claims? Because a lot of people say, okay, yeah, that's another one. That's another time. So, how do you respond to them at this time that since 2019, you've been consistently and you are almost like 95, 98% accurate. And when they come like that, because of course it's going to come again, we are looking for the presidential primaries coming up. And so, how do you respond to that?
You know, I always respond with data. When they criticize and they say all sorts of things about you, I remind them. I take them back to what we said before many elections and what turned out to be the case. And I said, look, even if you doubt our integrity, look at what we said before and look at how it went. Just use your head, don't use your heart.
And how reliable are the opinion polls in Ghana compared to elections outcome?
Absolutely, our opinion poll has been excellent. I can't speak of the others because we've seen how they performed against the actual election results. If you take the elections from 2020, our first election predictions, we predicted 50.4% for Nanado, plus or minus 1.9 margin of error. And I got 51.3, I think. And that is within the margin of error. So we were very, very accurate when it came to 2020 elections. And in 2024 elections, before the main election, we had been at, I think, Kumewu. I mean, our results were absolutely bang on Kumewu. And then Asimnov. Asimnov was very close, but we said to them that at the end of the day, NDC was going to win the seat, and they won. Now, if you look at our track record in the 2024 elections, not even the presidential, the parliamentary seats, we use what we call MRP model, multivariate cross certification analysis, to create the likely winner of the various 276 constituencies using regular polling data that we've taken in those constituencies over a period of, say, 4 years. During that period, I mean 3 years, sorry. During that period, we've been to every constituency 4 or 5 times. Using those numbers, we were able to predict 260 6 or 7 correctly. We only missed on 10 out of 276. That is just the parliamentary. And with parliamentary, it's the most difficult thing to predict. The presidential is much easier because you have one big sample and you analyze. When it comes to parliamentary, it's local level. You must look at every constituency with a microscope. And we got almost everything right except 10. And then you came to the presidential. And that is where we were able to predict. In fact, we had data from 2022 all the way till November 28, a week before the elections. Then we released our predictions. And we said Mama was going to get 54% plus or minus 2% margin of error. And what did he get? He got 56.4 or 0.3. We were absolutely bang on. In the case of Baumia, we said he was going to get 41.3. I think he got 41.4. And that is how precise our polling numbers are. It is because we've been doing this polling every 90 days. So whatever happens within the country, within 3 months, we'll go back there and capture the feeling. So we were in tune with what was happening. Whereas others, they just came in, do post, they disappear. So they couldn't have a trend to look at. We had a trend over 3 years, and the trend told us that this was going to be the outcome.
That's that's good to know that, because we also follow most of these posters back home, and we've come out to know that most of your predictions are highly precision. They say that's why we want to let everybody know and understand that some of these things is just not done in vain. It's in real time. You go out there,
Yes.
ask the people, and use. Let me even find out what role should scientific data play in a political decision making in Ghana. What?
Look, it is everything. You must
From the post
first
station, you
accept
have your phone, you everything. Then it's all linked out.
look, one, even your campaign messages, what should you campaign on? The poll should tell you what are the people's priority, what are the top 3 issues that bother voters. If they say it is economy, job, education, then your campaign messages and the manifesto must prioritize these, and the messaging must go with it. Once you don't get this correctly aligned, you are done. You must know which demographic you have the strong support from, which demography are you weak in, and that would inform you the kind of campaign strategy you're going to be adopting. And then you look at the demography. Is it gender? Is it age? Is it regional? Because in our situation, the regions have their own preferences or their own challenges. You must be able to address specific regional issues as you go along. So data is very important, and data allows you to even allocate resources. Where should the resources go? Your campaign money is not it's limited in scarce resources. So you must know how to deploy the resources. Should you spend money in Ashanti region, or should you spend money in Eastern region, or Central region, or Western region? Which region you can just go there for just 1 week and leave, and you'll be fine. All this is driven by data and science. Without this, it's like a fly in the plane without flight path. You will fly, but you can't guarantee where you will land.
Okay, you will fly. Ladies and gentlemen, we talking to one and only Musah Dankwah, who is the CEO of Global Info Analytics. Because of the previous elections that we've been to, and some of these posters that's come and go, we have found it necessary to talk to him in order for everyone to know that this is real, because we have elections coming up. We've had the election in just about a year ago, and their numbers were just what you are hearing, and we have another one coming very soon in about 30 days. And so we want to find out all from this person that Goldman Sachs will come after him to do some of the, and we are going to do this. 4 Stars Radio won't let you to, have some posters and let us know where we're going from now. Since I got you, that's funny, isn't it? Let's. I know another issue facing the whole nation is about this Pandai election. Now, the Pandai by-election, I know you conducted some research. What stood out to you most before you say, you know what, let me take a step to this and find out, because the place is very dangerous. You know how dangerous. So what happened, and how did you get that courage to stood up for that?
Look, we go everywhere, even in Baku Central, where there is violence. We still go there and conduct polls. So there's no place in Ghana that is off limit to us. But Bandai comes in a northern region, and we have northern region divided into two. We have two regional coordinators who are in charge of northern region. So one of them, he lives in Tamale, but he comes down to manage projects when we have projects down there. So we said, okay, Pandai rerun is there. Let's go and see what the sentiments of the people were. Our intention was to do the polls over first week and then the final week before the elections. Unfortunately, the elections was kind of put on ice, but we've already said that we're going to go and do the poll, so we continued. The first poll that we did, MPP candidate was ahead. But the second one we did, he appears to have lost the grounds to the NDC guy. But the race is still very close as far as we are concerned.
And what are the key factors that influence voters' behavior in Pandai between the first and then the second poll that you conducted?
I think initially the top issues were jobs. About 35% of the people's concern were about jobs. Then you have economy, then you have education and health. And that order has not changed in terms of the people. But what appeared to be taking center stage is the need for them to have development. They are saying that they need development, and with development like roads, like schools, hospitals, and so on and so forth. With those kind of development, it is difficult to have an opposition candidate able to champion them and deliver them. So the ruling government appears to be saying that, look, if you want to see some of this development, then it's better off to vote for an NDC MP who can have an open door, or who have door open for him to go and seek assistance to deliver development. Unlike the opposition MP, in this part of the world, the door will not be open to you very often. So that appears to be working for the NDC, and they are able to shift the numbers. And it's the same approach that they use in Akotia as well, where they use developments as a basis to convince people to vote for their candidate instead of the MPP's candidate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still having this conversation with one and only, as you all know, Musah Dankwah. You see, you can really understand the simplicity of the conversation and also make your judgment. Okay, this is not pointing fingers at somebody who is doing right or wrong, but this is the masses. We are talking to the individual whose daily activity is being affected in some shape or fashion. And so they ask these individuals themselves, and they themselves come out and they speak their mind or what they wanted to do. But there's always somebody ahead, especially the incumbent. The incumbent is always have little advantage, but that's not what we're talking. Now, does the Pandai, Musah, does the Pandai signal positive shift in the voting pattern ahead of the future election? Do you see that it will shift the pattern?
Look, Pandai has been very closely fought. The only time NDC had Pandai easy was in the early days of our democracy. Ever since, Pandai has become a marginal constituency, like a marginal seat. You win less than 5%, 4%, and 3%. And I think it will remain so, because the two parties are equally divided in Pandai. No party has upper hand in party affiliation. Indeed, the last survey we conducted, we found that 48% of the respondents said they were MPP sympathizers, and 47% of them were NDC sympathizers. So nobody has got a clear cut. So for someone to win, you must be a very good candidate to attract the support from other parties. If you're able to get a cross-party support, either an MPP candidate get help from NDC people, or NDC candidate get help from MPP candidate party members, then you can see that person winning, because the floating voters are not very many there. I mean, 48, 47, just about 4% or so of them are floating voters or other parties. So it's a very closely, divided constituency in terms of party lines. But people are able to win by presenting a better candidate. Once you do that and they love the candidate and you have a good message, I think you can win Pandai seat.
Okay. So when you have a good message, you can win the Pandai seat. Now, did this result that you have the final poll, does the result reflect the national political sentiment, or was just the more or mere local dynamics?
No, I think it has a national dynamics being reflected because majority of the voters believe that the country is headed in the right direction. In the mid 60s as well, around 64, 65 in Pandai. And when you ask them about the performance of the president, they approve him by a big margin, around also 60 or 59 thereabout. But then when it comes to election of the parliamentary candidates, then you see the two parties really in the middle. It shows that, yes, they can say you are doing well. They say that the country is headed in that direction, but it does not necessarily mean that we have to vote for your candidate at all costs. So people there are very discerning, and I think they are analyzing the issues. At the end of the day, we expect the race to be very close.
What lessons should you being the main poster, what lessons should the NDC MPP learn from the Pandai by-election as it stands now?
I think they must campaign honestly and devoid of falsehood, false accusations, because the today's voters have changed dramatically. These are people who want to consume information, but truth. I mean, the era where you hoodwink people to vote for you or you gaslight them to follow you is gone. The social media is awash, and in fact, our study shows that only 5% of Ghanaian voters do not have social media account. Only 5%. So 95% are on social media. So, it's easy for them to fact check you, to get to see the other side of this. So they should campaign truthfully and honestly. And look, honest campaign and truth works, because if you don't do honest campaign and you got caught, people tend to get upset and punish you for that.
And so right now, you to based off what you've learned so far, you just want everybody just speak the truth. Don't just lie to get the position, because when you lie and get the positions, whatever promise you made now becomes a problematic, because you cannot fulfill all those, and we've seen it over time, and it's still going on. I'm hoping that somebody's listening and it will change the idea of making a campaign, because the campaign promises sometimes you can say, oh wow, this is way too much. I know you can do up to we can also analyze some of these things. When you say you want to construct a road from Accra to Kumasi in 4 weeks, we doubt. Everybody would doubt about that, and so that's a good thing. That's a good advice to all the politicians or whatever you were doing. Say what you can do efficiently, and when you are
Efficiently.
able to accomplish that, then the people will have that credibility in you to continue with that. Okay, now let's go to the MPP. The MPP presidential election is on its way, and then this internal party elections. Based on your data, how united or divided is the MPP base going on for this presidential primaries? How united or division the presidential primaries you can, from your own analogy and what you've done so far?
Look, let's say straight. MPP is not divided at the base. No. It is the leadership who are divided. If you go to the grassroots, look, they are very hopeful that the party can unite beyond the campaign. About 90% said, look, they believe there will be unity at the end of the campaign. The base itself is not ready to be divided. What do you see is division between the campaign teams, where utterances and some kind of comments and statements being thrown here and there that seems to jeopardize the party unity at the top level. But at the bottom, I don't see MPP to be divided at the bottom. Absolutely not. They will be united there. The problem will be the top. Would Kennedy or Baumia people be able to cross the bridge and have a common cause to fight the 2020 elections? Will Brian Champon and the rest come on board? Not only come on board figuratively, but with commitment and their heart in it. MPP need to stay united, need to stay stronger for better democracy. There's no democracy, a good democracy, with a weak opposition, and we must not allow MPP to be divided to give NDC a free pass for the next election. Every seat needs to be fought for, and the money of the people of Ghana should not be given to any party on a silver platter. MPP will be united at the base. As for the top, I can't really tell.
You can. But I thought you've by now made some polls to just get some little
Yes,
info
we have
about.
data. If you ask the delegates, 90% believe that the party will be united. About 6% said no, they think there'll be division, and 4% do not have an opinion. So these are numbers that are pretty good in terms of those who believe there'll be unity. 90% is not a small number. Only 10% are saying they either don't have an opinion or they think there are disunity. What is important is for the leadership to understand that they may look divided at the top, but the bottom is solid.
Okay, what factors matter most to MPP delegates when choosing a flag bearer? I'm talking about experience, loyalty, regional balance, or electability. That's somebody who is electable.
Right. We did a poll over the weekend. We have not published the outcome yet. We are now doing a weekly tracking poll of the MPP delegates. And from what they've told us, look, 23% of the delegates say that they want to elect somebody who can win them the 2028 elections. So that's one thing they're looking at. Who can win the election for us? Another 20% are saying that they're looking for somebody who can bring change to the party and the country if they win. Somebody who has an idea that can bring change. And then about 19% say somebody who cares about the grassroots. 19% mention grassroots care. And then trustworthy, 14%. Because somebody who they can trust. And then also 13% somebody who can unite the party, 13%. Then about 7% say somebody who is humble person, 7%. And then other factors is about 3%. And a fighter, somebody who can fight for MPP or fight for us, that is 2%. So you can see the priority of the voters. The question is, those who say they want somebody who can win the election for them, who are they voting for? And those who said somebody who takes care of the grassroots, who are they voting for? Those who say somebody who is trustworthy, who are voting for? Who are they voting for? So in the last poll that we'll publish, we'll tell you what proportion of the delegate who are saying somebody can win, who are they voting for? And that will be very fascinating to see when the time comes.
Oh, okay. That'll be very fascinating when the time comes. We are having this conversation. If you're out there and you are listening to us, Musah Dankwah, parties in our nations must really pay this attention because it is accurate and they are doing a marvelous job. And sometimes when the polls comes and we look at this, hey, this man, I don't know how courageous you were. I don't know. Did you go around with the escort? Do you have any escort or you
No,
just really?
not at all. I've never had any escort. I walk freely. Because you know your conscience is clear. You know you've been doing this faithfully and honestly and diligently. And despite the insult, I mean, our friends from all sides come to us and get the data quietly in private. But in public, they will, of course, chastise you. They are our friends. They are our brothers. We are the same Ghanaians. Just that when it comes to polling, those who it doesn't favor, they tend to get upset. But over time, I think they will get used to it.
Is there any risk of post primary apathy within the NPP? If so, what should the NPP aspirants be doing now, according to the data, to improve their appeal to the masses or to the public?
Look, I think MPP as a party is making some, I'll say, huge mistakes post election. And you are in the United States when Harris lost the election. They went quiet for some time to allow Trump and the new administration, space to govern the country. And they didn't start making noise until Trump started to implement some controversial policies. I think MPP should have taken a cue and remained quiet after the defeat, because the defeat was very heavy and people were very angry. And up to now, the anger hasn't subsided. So they should have probably gone quiet a bit, take the results on the chin and see what they can do. And then also, as they begin to mobilize, they shouldn't be seen to be fighting public opinion. They should be seen to admit the reality and offer alternative for where they think the government is failing, and not appear to deny something people are saying or talking about, which is the sound of living of people. Things have gotten better according to people. And I think that's the one mistake that I think they're doing. They must really get around themselves and look at the polling data and say, where can we attack the government on? We can't attack them on cost of living. We can't attack them on this, on that. So where is the window of opportunity that we can use to attack them? And when you do that, it's more effective. You will not be seen to be fighting the public. You'll always be seen to be speaking what the public wants the government to hear. And I think when they do that, that should help.
Okay, so MPP, if you are listening, yeah, make sure you're doing the right thing from now before, because 2028, talking about 2028, looking at 2028, Musah, what does your research say about the voters' mood in Ghana right now? What are their mood in
Right now,
2028? We say 2028, it's about what, maybe 3 more years, but before you realize it's just
it's
tomorrow.
here. Look, and that's why MPP must really be looked into, because the way things are right now, and the way we've seen the initial polling data, even though it's 3 years away, it doesn't appear to favor them at all. The best performance we've seen is Baumia against, I think, Haruna Idrisu. If you do a head-to-head match, if Haruna Idrisu come face-to-face with Baumia, I think around 56% or so to 40%. And if you throw in Atu Forcing, then the numbers change quite a bit. The Haruna Atu Forcing goes 58 and Baumia goes 38. That's a big margin. But then beside this, Mosquito and other candidates are not doing as well as these two young candidates. So the signs are that the goodwill Mama is enjoying could span into 2028 unless NDC mess up big time. For now, you could see that the goodwill is still there, and that goodwill is putting a lot of the NDC candidates ahead of the MPP candidates. And they need to find a way to campaign in 2028. From now, figure out how are we going to campaign on issues. Economy, is it our best selling point? Education. So let's identify what we can really take the government on and use that to really campaign. And they have 3 years to do that, and I hope they are able to do that effectively.
From your experience, based on your experience, is the youth vote becoming a decisive factor in the future elections in Ghana?
Very, very, very. Over 78% of voters in Ghana are below 44 years. 78%. And in recent polling that we did, about 58% of people are saying that it is time for the youth to lead the country. It didn't just end there. About 60 something percent of voters think that if you are 62 years and above, you are too old to be president. This is what these people are saying. They are cutting off the older people from presidency. They want people who are much younger, people who can reflect their image. And I think bringing down the voting age, the requirement to the president to 30 years fits within that narrative. Because you can't have 78% of people below 44 and put the requirement to qualify to run as president at 40 years. I think we must reflect the changing dynamics. Elsewhere, in Peru, I think they have a 38-year-old president, in Finland or those Scandinavian countries, 34-year-old prime ministers. If we are saying that our people are not matured, it's because we have made them so. If we've given them a good education, at 30 years, in Europe and America, people have their masters and their PhDs. So I think we need to fix the societal issues and allow people as young as 30 years to contest. We're not going to say that they will win, but at least we have not put a barrier to stop them from competing.
Oh, okay. And do you foresee voter turnout increasing in 2028 or declining?
It depends on what Muhammad does. If Muhammad mess up, I think the turnout will be lower because they will be disappointed that they followed MPP, they didn't see, they were disappointed, and they give NDC hope and they are disappointed. If NDC or Muhammad does well, better than expected, we're going to see higher turnout in 2028 elections. And that may not be good for the position. If Muhammad does well.
What are the biggest threats to Ghana democracy as we stand based on your data trends? What is the biggest threat to democracy now? If there is any.
I think that there are quite a few. I think corruption is a big threat to our democracy. People feel that people use democracy to go in power and amass wealth and live a very fat life at the expense of the people. That is a big issue we must address. Corruption is one big thing. And then also monetocracy, using money to win parliamentary and other positions is quite a big threat. And I'm quite glad that the Pemper Commission is proposing some changes to shorten the campaign period and make people not spend the whole year or two going around campaigning and streamline that process. That should make campaigning much less expensive than we've seen. Then you also have bribery of the delegate and voters in election. In the last election, we saw a lot of monetocracy happening in the delegate and in the entire voter population. But the good thing is that when it comes to voters, they will take their money, take your money, and vote their conscience. We did a study in the last 2 years that shows that only 7% of voters will take money and change their vote. Only 7%. And that means that if you put in $100, you're gonna only make a return of $7. That's not good enough.
Wow, that's an eye opener now, because now everybody feels the money belongs to them. So when you bring it, they take it, but they use their conscience to make their vote. So,
Absolutely.
based on what you just said, what advice would you give to politicians who consistently ignore data and then the public sentiment? And then also, what role should institutions, the media, the civil society play in strengthening democracy and its accountability?
You know, politicians must take data very serious. You cannot run a political campaign or do any politics without data. You must know what the people want you to do. You must know whether the people think you are doing very well. If you're not doing very well, what can you do to impress them? You must know their priorities so that when you address their priorities, they'll be happy with you. Without data, you wouldn't know their priorities. So this is a must that politicians must do. Absolutely necessary to have data on elections. Then on the role of the civil society, look, civil society plays key role in everything. We have civil society groups in mining, in education, in energy, and in so many sectors. They contribute to what we see as good governance in this country. Sometimes voters haven't got the big voice to be reminding government all the time, but the CSOs are there to fill in the void, and they become like a pressure point for the government. It is absolutely important that the government gives them space to operate and also give them a chance to contribute to policy formulation. If you look at people in education sector, when the free education was being propounded, they were actually not involved in the policy. And we saw what happened. And once the CSOs don't get involved, you're not able to get objective assessment of what could go wrong that you should face. And I think the government, whoever government comes in the future, must work closely with CSOs. They play an important role in our democracy.
Wow, That's some real good information that we had today with you, Musah Dankwah, the CEO of Global Info Analytics. And so it is very important that somebody who has been there before will understand and compromise, if not fully, at least compromise something and then believe in something. Because we always think, since I'm ahead of this, I can do anything that I want. But from what you've told us right now is an eye opener that most of us are going to base upon it and use our own judgment to vote. Because I say 2 3 years is just down the road before you slip, and it's just a slip, and then the time comes you see those people who did not accomplish whatever promise they made, they are coming back to ask you for another chance. And I'm so excited, Mr. Dankwah. I'm so excited that you have the time. But this will not be the end. We may probably have another interview before the 31st primaries. By then, at least you have gone to some other places and see, and from there we can also make our predictions that, you know what, if you need a poster, 4 stars need a poster, we'll come to Musah Dankwah to let it Global Info Analytics go around and check what we're doing. If it's good, fine. If it's not, then we have to know where to go. But anyway, thank you so much. And then your personal reflections, and then your closing remarks.
I mean, what I want to say is that polling is quite new in Ghana here. It's the first time it's been done regularly, and people must have trust in the company that does the poll, the people who work for it. There are people who have the nation at heart, whose objective is to let the parties know what is going on for them to rebuild themselves. And I believe that, I mean, post these MP primaries, people who may have been chastising us over the years will begin to realize that we've been doing God's job and not someone's hatchet job. I would believe that with time, they will come and accept that these guys have been faithful to the country.
You know, what else can I say? I'm out of words right now. I think we have a lengthy talk, and from uh, from yourself, a young man from Eastern region, all the way to Pandai and to democracy, MPP, and this is how far we have come. Musah Dankwah, thank you so much. 4 stars rated TV Atlanta, Georgia, you would say, and the entire crew would say thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing. We encourage each and every one. If you have any support, throw it to Musah Dankwah with the Global Info Analytics, because traveling back and forth all needs some support. And you know, anything you can. It's sometimes just pray for them. You know, we believe in that power of prayer, isn't it? And so, yeah,
We
pray
do.
for them, and get in touch with them too, especially the politicians. Get in touch with them, talk to them, and then take these matters serious. What are the matters is politicians don't feel like the citizen, what we citizens feel. So listen to them carefully, pay attention to them, and you can see Ghana is moving to the pure right direction. Now we just crawling, but it will come to a time we will be running. And so people like you, and then the rest of your colleagues who also making little posts here and there, when we take them seriously, then we will we'll hear the cry of the citizenry, and things will get better. And so thank you, and thank you once again for coming to share your ideas, and then whatever you have learned so far with us and the entire nation. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you know, uh, we have had enough, and we've talked about things that will make our country become one of the best, if not at least be on top of the list. Right now in Africa, Ghana is doing much better. And so we entrust all, we encourage all that let's hold on to the good works that others are doing. And I believe that together, when we come together and doing stuff, we will all get to our destination. And the destination is when peace prevail and jobs and everything, and everyone at least can get something to feed on, the roof over the head. I believe in no time some of these things will come to pass, and we shall all go home, especially those of us who in the diaspora want to go home so bad. We can pack the stuff and go home and then enjoy the fruits of our sweat from the diaspora. So thank you all for taking the time to listen to my crew, D Black, Andy Ajiman, Maxwell Wilberforce, and C. Akins. Thank you all for putting all this in together, all the way from Ghana. And then my big brother, my big son, Andy Ajiman as well. Now, whoever is watching us and sharing this info, we say thank you so much. 4 Stars is doing the best it can to help our citizenry here in the diaspora to get more information and then make every decision, better decision they want to do. So, Daddy K, I'm about to get out of here, and I always say, be blessed because I am out. The whole booger is the parliament. Well, this is Robert Falcon, so he's not. The whole booger is the parliament.